It's a real privilege for me really to be presenting to you today about a topic that I'm really passionate about. Really, I'm here to show you how, by utilising a market-leading technology, Boomi, we make integrations a simple and transparent process for our customers. Just a little bit about me. So I've worked in the integration space for 13 years now, having been a consultant, but also spent a couple of years sat on the other side of the fence, similar to where you are today as an end user. So I do understand the challenges that businesses face when it comes to integrations. I think, you know, those few years spent as an end user, as I say, it's given me unique insight about the challenges that businesses face. So I'll come onto it in a bit more detail shortly. But things like visibility is always one that comes up. Integrating legacy systems, data silos. Firstly, let's start with a basic explanation. So, what is application integration? Well, put simply, it's the process of enabling individual systems and applications to harmonise, to work with one another to improve operational efficiency. And that's what it's really about, improving business outcomes, supporting agile business operations. There's a wide range of other reasons given for why people would want to integrate systems. So this is by no means an exhaustive list, but it's just to give some, some ideas or common themes that we see. So specifically around modernising infrastructure, unlocking revenue streams by accessing data that's previously not been reachable. Let's just take a look at some of the challenges that businesses face when they're looking at integration projects. What we're seeing over time is that the demand for integration is growing. We see businesses struggling with application sprawl, legacy systems, and one of those challenges is bridging the gap between cloud and on-premise applications. So more and more today we're seeing people move towards using enterprise-grade applications in the cloud, but it's how can they talk to older or legacy systems that maybe are running on-premise. When we can't connect those applications, it can lead to data silos. We've mentioned revenue streams potentially being missed. I think it reduces business agility, and there's an increased cost to extract that data manually. Application individuality, what do I mean by that? Each application has its own uniqueness, so there's not a one-size-fits-all approach, unfortunately. One application may have a particular comms method, a particular data format, but the way you're trying to integrate that into another application is totally different. So it's a particular problem for businesses because, as I say, there's not a one-size-fits-all approach that can be taken there. Resource and cost constraints, another problem that we see frequently. So coding takes a long time, needs a certain level of expertise, and it can often lead to bottlenecks with development. Fluctuating volumes, definitely pertinent to this industry. We see peaks and troughs in volumes, container volumes, gate traffic, vessel flow, and so on. And having a system that's robust enough to deal with those fluctuating volumes is a real problem. To help us with all of those problems or challenges, we decided to go with an iPaaS solution. So an iPaaS solution is an integration platform as a service. It's a single, centralized, scalable, cloud-based solution. So this allows us to unify integration between these applications. There are a few other key features that I've picked out that are applicable to iPaaS solutions, and generally these are applicable to most iPaaS solutions on the market. The iPaaS provider manages and updates the software, so there's no burden put onto us or our customers for doing that. And as such, there's no downtime associated with those updates. Also, an iPaaS solution has to manage the software development lifecycle. So it needs specific tooling to be able to look after version control, testing, deployment cycles. Visibility, as I mentioned, is always a big hot topic for our customers. The ability to monitor interfaces, go into the data, be proactively alerted to problems, and an iPaaS solution gives tools for achieving that. And then finally, secure connectivity to pre-built connectors. So we know what an iPaaS solution is. We decided to go with Boomi as our iPaaS provider. There's a number of reasons for that. Boomi is seen as a market-leading integration provider. So just looking at that diagram, you can see in the top right, Boomi is operating as one of the leaders in this particular market. They're often seen as someone who, or a business that is forward-thinking. They're always releasing new features, new application connectors, and a wide array of features. But also, it does what it says. We don't hit problems when we're developing with Boomi. So we know that it gives us the platform to get over all of those integration challenges that we've been presented with before. Just a couple of key figures I'd like to pick out. Market research shows that using a platform like Boomi can increase development times by 65%. And we mentioned about the uptime. So it's 99.9%. Software updates are automatically pushed, and there's no downtime required for deploying interface changes, which is a key reason, or one of the key reasons why we decided to partner with Boomi, because a lot of the time, changes are made to an interface. You may need a service restart or some minor downtime in order to push that change in. Not with Boomi. These changes are pushed immediately into the environment of choice. It's a low-code tool, so it consists of features such as drag and drop mapping, predefined map functions. We can import message formats for various different file types, which ultimately all means that it's a faster time to market. It's self-service, so we can give access to business users that can make changes to interfaces, to business rule logic. So it's really a powerful tool for giving our users access, visibility to the integrations or interfaces in their community. At TBA, we have internal expertise within the business. So we have certified developers that use Boomi or develop Boomi. But Boomi has an extensive partner network. So they have they're partnered with a number of smaller technology providers. And the reason that's important to have that there is we can leverage that partner network when looking at integration strategy. If we ever need to scale up at speed, that partner network is there and has the expertise to support us on that journey. So let's just take a look at the Boomi ecosystem. I'm not going to talk through the diagram fully, but again, I've just picked out a few key features and key selling points for the platform. So it has enterprise-grade compliance and security. Hybrid deployments. We mentioned that it can be deployed in the cloud or on-premise. This is to really address customer-specific security requirements, data sovereignty, latency considerations as well. It's multi-tenancy, which means we can scale up at speed. Because of that, because of the multi-tenancy nature as well, it can process high message volumes, quick, immediate scaling up. And having this built-in multi-tenancy architecture enables us to do that. There are pre-built B2B EDI functionality. So we've implemented Boomi as part of our CHS solution. I think we've worked with 3 different comms methods to the community, 4 different message formats, and we've been able to do that at speed because of this pre-built functionality that the platform contains. So working with EDI standards, they're already predefined. So we're not coding certain standards. This all means that we can operate at speed. And that's the key message here, that we want to operate at speed so that it's faster time to market. We have the ability to create composite services. So this is, again, another use case that we recently implemented for the CHS project or product, where we expose APIs to the ports community for a particular workflow. So one of the key ones is the creation of an expected vessel visit. We publish that API, and that is consumed by the ports community to notify the port of vessel visits. It's not just pre-built EDI standards. We can import XML, JSON, and also non-standard formats, so flat files and iDocs, that sort of thing. Just a quick look at the architecture. I won't go into the diagram too much, but the key takeaway from this is that because of the underlying architecture, it gives our customers high availability, failover capabilities. So if a particular server goes down, we can fail over and there's no operational impact. Load balancing, so we can distribute the load of incoming message volumes between servers, and then multi-threading for high message volumes as well. Just an image of the drag and drop mapping, which does make it easy to pick out where data's being mapped to and from. This is, you're able to export this. So it's a self-documenting tool. So it's not, you don't have to back this up with manual documents. It's self-documenting. It can be exported into different formats. The competitive advantage for our customers, or what we believe this gives our customers, and the reason we partnered with Boomi, is because, one, the increased visibility. There's dashboards to show throughput volumes, summary of any errors, average response times for APIs, success versus failed. So there's dashboards to monitor what's going on in the interfaces. Customers benefit from a single centralized view of the processes. They can go into them and really dig into the detail of what's going on. They have full visibility. There's no more black box, so to speak. The key point is that we spoke about, I gave you a figure of 65% reduction in development costs. Well, why that's important is that allows our software engineers to focus on what really matters to our customers, and that's delivering an innovative application. So they're no longer burdened with writing interfaces or specific interface changes for problems that come up. Quick to develop change requests. So you'll see this in real time in a second. and less custom-built interfaces. So everything that you develop in Boomi can be reused. So if you have new partners coming into the ports community, new format for a particular, I think someone touched on earlier about, okay, if you get a slightly different variation of an EDI message, how do we handle that? Well, actually it's really quick to do, because what we do is we take a copy of the existing format and we make a minor change to it. So we have complete flexibility when it comes to the EDI messaging. So I put together a very quick case study, which hopefully will highlight the speed at which we can make changes, deploy them, and validate our tests. So planners have been in contact, they've received a BAPLI, and it's got space or spaces in the container IDs. Common problem, I think most of you will be aware of what the BAPLI file is, what it's used for, and there's often data issues with that BAPLI. So I think speaking to some of our BAs, this was one that comes up quite frequently. And all the planners have provided is a void reference to be able to find the data. So what we're going to demonstrate is take you through finding the data. You'll see a bit of the UI, and then making a change and deploying it. So what we're doing is we're going into the front end. We're going to search for our void reference. Now what we have the ability to do is search for user-defined fields in the data. So we have some predefined fields. Through every interface, we track this data, and it's stored as metadata basically in the front end. And what this will return for any given reference is a full audit trail of the messages that relate to that key reference. So for example, if you want to know all of the messages that are sent for a particular container, from gate in to it being loaded to the vessel, you have the ability to do that. So you can see the timings, any particular problems that may have occurred with that message processing. It's very easy to tie it all together with this key search. So we're going to punch in the void reference that we were given as part of our case study. That's going to return the BAPLI execution details. You can see here it stores the metadata. So we've got a particular container ID, the void reference, the vessel, and sometimes you may be given the file name for the BAPLI. So it's you're always able to search for it. What we're going to do is load the execution. We're going to find basically how the data that shows how the interface behaved. So this is going to take us to the BAPLI file, the raw data file that you'll be familiar with. It's an EDI Edifact BAPLI, and there you can see the space in the identification number or the container ID. So now we're just going to look at, okay, is that what we sent to our TOS application? So this is just an API, an internal API to our TOS application. And there you can see again, we've preserved that space, and that's what's causing the issue for the planner. Okay, so we need to make a change. So we've gone to the process design. Everything's built off a workflow. So the theory is that business users can go to this workflow and quickly understand what rules are in place and how the interface should behave. Again, it's a self-documenting tool that we should be able to see the business outcomes. So what I've navigated to is the BAPLI mapping. We also have pre-built business rule logic. This takes us to the drag and drop mapping exercise. So we're interested in the container ID or identification number. We can clearly see where it's mapped from in the file. Now this is the important bit. We have pre-built low-code map functions or functions available to us that mean there's no custom coding. So you can see here we've got date functions for translating different date formats, language functions, numeric functions, we need to add values together, for example. But what we're interested in, the container ID is a string, we need to remove a character from that string. So we're going to introduce a string replace function, and that's going to replace that blank space with nothing. It's going to remove the blank space, essentially. So you can see I'm not writing lines of code. It's all done through forms. So I'm going to drag that over to the original string. That's going to perform that function, and then it's going to map it out without the space. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a package. So a package is a snapshot of the interface at that given moment in time. So once you've made a change and you're ready to deploy it, you create a package. A package has a unique identifier. There's a full audit trail of the package history, so you can see over time how an interface has changed. Each package has its own deployment note, so usually we'd say, string remove space, for example. So nothing is lost. You know, if you ever need to go back, okay, why did we make this change? There's a full audit trail. You can run comparisons between packages as well. So you can see, okay, these two packages are behaving differently, but I can't remember exactly what's changed. You can pinpoint exactly what's changed, by who and when. So I'm just going to assign it a unique ID, followed by a note, just to say what I've done. Creating the package is instant. You'll then be prompted to deploy that change. So I'm just going to select the environment I want to deploy it to. Again, with deployment note. It tells me what the previous or the current deployed version is and what I'm going to deploy. And then it's instant. The deployment is done straight away. So now what we're going to do is reload our data. Again, there's no need to sort of mess around with raw data files. There's no need to go into directories to find that data, download it, open it in Notepad. All of it is done through the UI. I'm just going to reload that message. And then we're going to find our new details. So you can see it's building up the audit trail for that given file. So I'm going to load the reload. You can see that it's a slightly different icon to show that it represents a reload. I'll just quickly show you the Bapley data so that you know I've not manually changed the file. I'm not lying. That space still exists. Okay, but now we want to look at, okay, well, what did we send to our TOS application? Has the change behaved as it should? So let's take a look at that. And if we scroll up, we can see now the identification has the space removed. So it may seem like a fairly trivial change, but what it hopefully does is show that's the complete cycle from diagnosing an issue all the way through to changing it, deploying it, and validating it, all within 4.5 minutes. Just a final slide. It's a hot topic at the moment, AI. It's something really we're only just scratching the surface with when it comes to the Boomi interfaces. I think, what we'll say is, we truly believe that we've got a platform that will deliver no matter what challenges are presented to us. We're using the AI or the embedded artificial intelligence and leveraging, as you see the figures here, 200 million use cases, 240,000 community users, to speed up even quicker. So let's say we're presented with a particular problem. We want to know how to connect to applications, or we might ask the AI tool, okay, can you give me best practice for this particular error handling scenario to make sure the customer's fully informed of any problems with this interface? By giving descriptive words to the generative AI tool, we can translate, or Boomi translates, business outcomes that we've articulated into application connectivity or best practices. Now, we don't always necessarily run with that. It might be a skeleton that we then change or modify to suit our customers. But what this means is that, you know, we're able to move even faster, but also apply best practices from a huge community with ideas that, you know, we may not have thought of. And then finally, they boast that it can connect 2 applications within 3 minutes, and I've seen this work in practice. Very powerful tool because it gets you up and running straight away. You can fail fast and build your integrations out from there. So it's really exciting. As I say, we're only just scratching the surface with it, but it's an exciting development that we're looking into.